Now, yesterday I talked to you about the fact that Jesus is eternal, meaning that Jesus has always existed and there's never been a time that Jesus has not existed. Now, understanding that truth and knowing that reality, we also understand something else that's just an extraordinary truth that we find within the Word of God, and that is the fact that before God created this earth, before God breathed life into Adam and created all mankind, before God did that, he knew that Jesus Christ was going to have to come down to this earth and he was going to have to take upon flesh and live a perfect, sinless life for the purpose of becoming a sacrifice for all mankind, because he knew that mankind was going to sin against him and he was going to have to die for him. Jesus knew that. Jesus understood that. The Father understood that one day he was going to have to send his Son to die for all mankind. In fact, the Bible tells us in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 8, I'm not going to read the whole verse, but the last part of the verse says, everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who has been slain. And so there it is, talking about a book of life, the book of life of the Lamb that has been slain, and names that hadn't been written before the foundation. And so what we understand about that, and there's more scriptures that go along with that, what we understand about that is God knew before he ever created us that he was going to have to die for us. God knew when he created us we were going to rebel against him, we were going to sin against him. But you know the amazing truth about that God created us anyway. God loved us anyway. Even before the foundations of the world, God so loved the world that he knew he was going to have to give his only begotten Son. And so as we begin to think about that truth, we understand the love of God that God has towards mankind, which ought to cause us to love him all the more. Even though he knew we were going to be outlaws and rebels and sin against him, and he was going to have to die a horrendous death, even though he knew it before he created us anyway. That's how much he loved us, so much he wants to have a relationship with us. And then that we understand the grace of God all the more when we understand before he even created us, he knew that he was going to have to extend that grace to us by sending his Son Jesus down to the cross to die for us.